All right, so today we're adding and subtracting rational numbers. Yes, we're going to be working with these 4 problems. Let's do number 1. So we're going to get rid of 2, 3, 4, and we'll come back to those in a second. Let's lock that one, and that one, lock. Control A, Control X. All right, here we go. Negative 3 1/3 plus 4 1/5. So we just did integers, and if you just remember the rules for integers, we always want to put the bigger number or the bigger absolute value on top, the smaller absolute value on the bottom, and then either add or subtract these numbers. So which one of these numbers has the bigger absolute value? Negative 3 1/3 or positive 4 1/5?
Positive 4 1/5.
Excellent. So without the signs, I'm just going to write 4 1/5 and 3 1/3. And my two choices here are either add or subtract these. Do I want to add or subtract?
Subtract.
Excellent. I'm going to subtract these numbers. And why do I want to subtract these numbers? Who remembers that little phrase I gave you?
Because one is positive and the other is negative.
One is positive, one is negative. So are the signs the same or different? Different. So if I have different signs, I want to find the difference. Awesome. So different signs. So this one has a negative. This one has a positive. Different signs. Find the difference. All right. 4 1/5 minus 3 1/3. All right. So let's get back some rules for adding and subtracting fractions. What do you need to add and subtract fractions? Common denominator. So let's bring that back into action here. I do not have a common denominator here. What is the common denominator between 5 and 3?
15.
So I'm going to rewrite this with a 15 down here, and I'm going to rewrite this with a 15 down here. And 1/5, what am I multiplying this 5 by to get a 15? Yep.
3.
Awesome. What I do to my denominator, I must do to my numerator. And down here, what am I going to multiply this 3 by to get 15?
5.
Excellent. I'll multiply by 5. All right, I'm on my way. Now I can subtract. So I have common denominators, 4 and 3/15 minus 3 and 5/15. Fractions first. Can I take 5 from 3? No. What am I doing?
You have to regroup.
Okay, so I'm going to regroup. 3 needs a little help. I'm going to borrow from the 4. Cross out the 4, turn this into a
3.
What am I adding to the 3, though? All right, if this was just normal addition subtraction, I would be adding 10. But in this case, I'm not adding 10. What am I adding? 15. Whatever your common denominator is, that's what I'm going to add. So I'm going to just rewrite this just to make it a little neater for us. So then now I have 3 and 18/15 minus 3 and 5/15, right? Just rewriting that just so it looks a little neater. Now can I take 5 from 18? Yes. 18 minus 5 is 13. And over 15. And then 3 minus 3? 0. So I'm just left with 13/15. Before I put a box or a circle around this answer and say, okay, Mr. Sortino, please mark this. What number had a greater absolute value? Yep.
4 1/5.
4 1/5 had the greater absolute value. What sign is in front of 4 1/5? Plus sign. So my answer is positive. I don't have to write the positive there, but I'm going to. So positive 13/15 would be the answer to this one. Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Next one, negative 2 1/2 minus 3 1/4. Again, I'm going to put the greater absolute value on top, smaller absolute value on the bottom, and then I'm going to add or subtract. So greater absolute value is
3 1/4.
3 1/4. So I'm going to write that 3 1/4 here, and then 2 1/2 will go down here. Awesome. Second question. I'm going to either add or subtract these. Which one and why? Excellent. I'm going to add these because they both have the same sign. 2 1/2 is negative. 3 1/4 is negative. When they have the same signs, I'm going to find the sum of these two numbers. All right. 3 1/4, 2 1/2. I'm dealing with fractions. I need a common. Awesome. So I'm just going to rewrite this to make this a little neater. What is my common denominator between 2 and 4?
4.
Excellent. So I'm going to put a 4 here. 4 here. I'll bring over my plus sign. 3 1/4 I already had a 4. 2 1/2 does not. What am I doing to my denominator? Good. And when I multiply my denominator and numerator by 2, what is my new numerator?
2.
Awesome. I'm adding these. Fractions first. Add your denominators. 2 plus 1, everybody?
3.
3 over 4. 3 plus 2.
5.
Before I put a box around this answer, I'm dealing with positive and negative numbers. Let me make sure I got the right sign here. What is my sign going to be?
Negative.
Negative. Excellent. So you could look at the bigger absolute value, which is 3 1/4. The sign in front of that is negative, so the answer is going to be negative. Or you could look at if I'm adding two negative numbers, I'm going to get a bigger negative number. However way you want to think about it is perfect. -5 minus -8 1/3. All right. First thing I want to change there is what? What can I'm going to rewrite this a little bit to make it a little easier on my eyes. What can I change?
You can make the 2 signs positive.
Yeah, let's make those two negative signs a positive sign. If you're subtracting a negative, it's the same thing as adding a positive. So I'm going to write this as -5 plus 8 1/3. Now I'm going to erase this top problem here. I am not looking at that problem anymore. I'm focusing on this one. I'm going to bring it back just so we have that step there, but you do not look at that problem anymore. I'm just going to focus on this one here. -5 plus 8 1/3. All right, so I'm going to write my greater absolute value on top, my smaller absolute value on the bottom. Which one has the greater absolute value, -5 or 8 1/3?
8 1/3.
Excellent, so I have 8 1/3 here, and a 5 here. One has a fraction, one does not. Okay. And then am I adding or subtracting these? Am I adding or subtracting these?
Subtracting,
Excellent. And why am I subtracting?
because the
Same signs or different signs?
same difference.
So 5 has a negative, 8 1/3 has a positive, so they have different signs. So when I have different signs, I find the...
Difference.
Excellent. 8 1/3 minus 5. Do I need to worry about the fractions here? Am I subtracting any fraction from 1/3? Nope, perfect. So my 1/3 is going to stay. And then my whole number is 5. 8 minus 5?
3.
Before I put a box around this answer, +3 or -3, and why?
Positive.
Why is it +3?
Because there's 2. Okay. Because 8 1/3 has a bigger absolute
Excellent.
value than
8 1/3 is the number with the bigger absolute value. The bigger absolute value is positive. My answer is positive. Awesome job. 6 minus 10 2/3. What do we got here? One number is positive, one number is negative. Which number has the greater absolute value? That's going to go on the top. Yep.
10 2/3.
10 2/3 has the greater absolute value. 6 has the smaller absolute value. There's no sign in front of the 6 here, though. What should I assume that 6 is? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Awesome. So 10 2/3, +6. Same signs or different signs?
Different.
Different signs. Different signs. Find the difference. Excellent. So I'm just going to subtract these numbers. Okay, so I have two rational numbers with different signs. Do I need to worry about the fractions?
No.
Right, I have no fraction here. I'm not subtracting anything, so 2/3 is going to stay exactly where that is. And then I'm going to subtract my whole numbers. 10 minus 6. Excellent. So before I put this 4 2/3 on my test, and I put a box around this answer, one number is positive, one number is negative. Which number has the greater absolute value? Which number has the greater absolute value?
10 2/3.
10 2/3 has the greater absolute value. What is the sign to the number with the greater absolute value? So if the greater absolute value has a negative sign, then the final answer is going to have a negative sign. So 6 minus 10 2/3, 10 2/3 on top, 6 on the bottom. Subtract, because they have different signs. The larger number, the greater absolute value, is negative. So my final answer is going to be negative. One quick message from my students.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you very much.